The grief I was talking about in my last video around losing people to the Red Hat cult is a form of ambiguous loss. The first type of ambiguous loss is when we lose someone when there isn't really closure, like maybe they go missing and we don't get to mourn them with a funeral or a process. The second one is the person is there, but that person changes dramatically, right? As is the case with our family members that we feel like we used to know. But also there is, broader ambiguous loss where things that we believe to be true, states of the world that we feel like we're losing, right? So climate change anxiety is a state of ambiguous loss where we're losing something that we feel very helpless to do much about it. And it's more of like a concept than it is like a concrete, I had this thing and then it's gone. And it's also in this longer process. It's not like you're alive and then you're no longer alive. There is this state of losing. So it's really difficult to navigate the world in a state of ambiguous loss. And for those of us that are parenting, we are in a grief process of ambiguous loss. It doesn't have much resolution while we're trying to create a world for our children that feels comforting and stable and inspiring. And we would love to be spending all of our time and energy on the things in the world that are beautiful and new and growing and expanding. And instead, in this state, we're stuck in this state of ambiguous loss with the rise of American fascism. And fascism, some scholars talk about fascism coming out of a place of collective trauma that goes unresolved in a society. And I've stated before in other videos that I think the psyche of America has never really resolved its birth trauma, essentially, right? It's never resolved our beginnings. It's never really wanted to face who we are. This is why you see Trump trying to change the Smithsonian, right? We don't want to focus on our negative parts. Oh, that's just the bad stuff about America. That's about rewriting a story. We don't want to face who we really are. And the only way you can really heal and integrate and move forward as a person or a family or a community or a country is by facing all the dark places. So when we don't do that, we get stuck in trauma. We have generations of people that have been traumatized by chattel slavery, by the removal and mass, of indigenous peoples, by the war on drugs, by prison slavery in America. And I would argue by having someone in office who has committed, crimes, lots of them. And so when there's this collective state of unresolved trauma, people look for a sense of order and certainty. And that is in part why we saw so many people jump on the bandwagon of American fascism. But it's left the rest of us in a state of ambiguous loss. So think about how you might cope with and what you might do to process ambiguous loss.